Live from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Good evening. This is the National News Telecast. I'm Movin Hettiarachchi.
I'm Dilanjali Ananda, and these are your top stories for tonight. The President says that the underworld will be totally eliminated. Minister of Public Defence says that there is no threat to the national security. The suspects of the gunner Mullah Sanjeeva's killing detained under the Terrorism Prevention Act for further investigations. 2 wanted suspects arrested in India brought to the island. 6 wild elephants killed after being knocked down by the Meenagaya train. Deputy Minister of Finance says the debt restructuring has come to the final stage. A set of recommendations issued for school children regarding the excessive heat condition. Hamas hands over 4 bodies of hostages to Israel. Now for those and other stories in detail. President Anura Kumara Dissanayake says that all necessary actions will be taken in the future to eradicate the underworld. The President pointed out that according to the investigations, it has been revealed that the underworld has spread to certain persons in official institutions meant for the security of the public. He stressed that certain amount of time would require for the complete eradication of the underworld. The President made this observation participating in the first meeting of the 10th Parliament Ministerial Advisory Committee on Security Affairs today. The committee met under the leadership of the President. Minister of Justice Harshana Nanayakkara pointed out that a set of proposals are formulated regarding the security of court complexes. He added that the security of court complexes will be increased with the help of modern technology by searching attorneys at law and all concerned parties in the future. Views have also been expressed in connection with the release of land occupied by army camps in northern and eastern provinces to their original owners. The Defence Secretary also said that not only in the northern and eastern provinces, but all lands under the usage of the 3 armed forces throughout the island would come under auditing, and a decision will be arrived at in order to release those lands after evaluation. Certain parliamentarians focused the attention of the President towards the possibility of the arising of ethnic and religious divisions based on certain places of worship located in the northern province. The President pointed out that racism and religious discriminations will have to be completely taken out of politics. He added that all these problems can be solved with the honest enthusiasm of citizens of those areas, and certain groups are expecting to gain personal benefits by converting such occasions into political issues. The President emphasized that no one will be allowed to use racism and religious discrimination for political gains. The necessity for the establishment of National Disaster Committee has also been looked into. The President instructed officials to complete relevant actions as soon as possible.
Minister of Public Defence and Parliamentary Affairs Ananda Vijaypala says that the government has not taken any decision to reduce the security at courts. He made these comments at the 3rd day debate of the budget in Parliament in response to a question raised by the opposition leader. The opposition leader Sajid Premdas said that security will be given to judges that would not be reduced. The government should take intensive measures for the security of the civil society, security of the public representatives, and media personnel should also be strengthened. Minister Ananda Vijaypal said that the investigations are being continued. The driver of the vehicle in which the suspects fled had been arrested. Investigations are being carried out to arrest another suspected women. There is no threat to the national security. Disputes among the organized criminals and underworld gangs are in sporadic incidents. During the past, regime's media institutions were ablaze with journalists that were killed along road in broad daylight. A large number of suspects were killed. It has been revealed that the suspects taken into custody yesterday is connected to a number of recent killings. As a government, the immediate measures have been taken to identify the suspects. These lonely incidents are not a threat to the national security. Plans are also underway to take legal action against bribery and corruption as well. There is no whatsoever slash of security in the court officials. Their security remains the same. If any persons, especially journalists, need security, the government will conduct a threat assessment in the prior to the action.
The Colombo Crimes Division today informed the Colombo Chief Magistrates Court that the two suspects arrested in connection with the killing of the organised criminal Ganemulle Sanjeeva have been detained under the Prevention of Terrorism Act and conducting investigations. Presenting a detailed report to the courts, they informed the Colombo Chief Magistrate Tanuja Lakmali this afternoon. The Crime Division officials informed the courts that the main suspect, Saminder Dilshan Piyamanga Kandanarachi of Maharagama and the driver Mahesh Sampath Priyadarshana of Millava area are being detained at the Colombo Harbour Police and questioned. During the investigation, it has been revealed that a woman is also connected to this crime and investigations are being conducted to arrest her. The police said that they have obtained a detaining order from the director of the Colombo Crime Division to keep them for about a period of 72 hours under the Clause 7(1) of the Terrorism Prevention Act for questioning. Lawyer Ajit Pathirana, appearing for the suspect, pointed out that as he had killed a person connected to a number of crimes, there is a life threat for his client. He requested the courts to ask the police if the suspect is taken out of the Colombo Harbour Police Station premises to inform the courts. Considering these matters, the Colombo Chief Magistrate granted permission for this request. The police also informs that the progress of the investigations will be reported to the courts in future. However, the police did not produce the suspect before courts today. Meanwhile, police request the public's support to identify a woman who abetted the killer of Ganemulle Sanjeeva. The Colombo Crime Division has started further investigations into the incident. The suspects, identified as 25-year-old Pinpura Devage Ishara Sewandis, resides at Nigambo Road, Katuellagama. The police have issued a photograph of her to the media. Police urge anyone with information regarding the suspect's whereabouts to contact the director of the Colombo Crimes Division at 071-859-1727 or the OIC of the CCD at 071-859-1735. Police said Acting Inspector General of Police has also decided to offer a cash reward for anyone who provides accurate information leading to the suspect's arrest. They said that the identity of those who provide such information will be kept strictly confidential.
Two more suspects who are wanted by the police regarding a number of crimes have been arrested in Chennai in India and both Sri Lanka this morning. Officials of the CID have taken into custody two suspects at the Kattanayake airport and handed them over to the Mathura Crime Investigation Division for further investigations. The two suspects are wanted by police in connection with shooting incidents, homicides and many financial frauds. Police say one of the suspects is a 38-year-old Ratnayaka Veerakona Roshana Madhushankar, a resident of Sambandara area. The other suspect is a 37-year-old Eranga Pushpakumar Hettiarachi, a resident of Moratu area.
Now, 6 wild elephants were knocked down to death by the Meenagaya train bound to Colombo from Batticaloa. Another 2 elephants sustained injuries. The train was derailed after the accident. Railway services between the Colombo and Batticaloa line have been temporarily suspended due to the repairs which are ongoing. A herd of 8 wild elephants has been knocked down by the train at about 11:45 p.m. yesterday at the 141st milepost between Hinguragoda and Galoya stations. The injured 2 elephants are being treated and the post-mortems of the deceased elephants were conducted today by the officials of the veterinary unit of the Giritale Wildlife Department. The railway line has also been severely damaged due to the derailment. Director General of the Wildlife Conservation Department, MSLRP Marasinghe, says that a special committee has already been appointed to prevent such tragic accidents and it has also taken several decisions in this connection. Director General of the Wildlife Conservation Department, MSLRP Marasinghe, said that it was planned to hold a discussion with engine drivers and other relevant persons to prevent such accidents. Unfortunately, before the necessary measures were taken, this incident occurred. The minister has focused attention to prepare a top-level plan in this connection and called up a meeting with the relevant parties. Accordingly, a permanent program is to be implemented in future. In response to a question, he said that there are speed limits at the place where the incident occurred. The notice boards are also there. However, this is a special place. The railway tracks run in a ditch-like place. When a herd of elephants enter to the railway track, there is no space for the animals to move away. However, the problems will be solved after receiving the investigation report.
Minister Fernando says that the restructuring of debts has reached the final stage. He made these observations participating in a media briefing publicised the cabinet decisions at the Department of Government Information today. Minister Fernando observed that instead of spending funds received on behalf of the government funding in random manner, those funds will be spent to lay the foundation in order to achieve a sustainable development and improve economy by taking out the country from the crisis position. Funds have been allocated to target manner in order to increase productivity. He added that several proposals have been forwarded to get the participation of the public in this process and to distribute benefits for them in the citizens of a fair manner. Responding to a query raised by journalists, Cabinet spokesman Minister Dr. Nalin Jayasinghe explained that whether local businessmen or foreign investors, they will be treated in accordance with the national requirement. Efforts are taken to ascertain whether people will be receiving services at a fair price. When the new government came into power, discussions were held to reduce the electricity bill. The cabinet never suggested the cancellation of the project. Instead, the suggestion was to reduce the rates below $8.26 cents. This has become one of the major reasons for their withdrawals. Some of the other companies have agreed to generate power at a lower rate. The minister said it is not proper to say the investors left the countries. Replying to a question raised by journalist, Minister Fernando said that there are two main areas of restructuring debts. One of them is the sovereign bond acquired from financial markets, which has been completed, except one. Since the case against the country of the Hamilton Reserve Bank has not been settled so far, it is firmly expected they will join the restructuring process. 17 countries were left with bilateral transaction, out of 3 have been left. One of them is Hungary, another one of the 2 is remaining. Restructuring our debts has come to near 200%.
Minister K.D. Lalkantha says that a salary increase with a vision has been granted to the public servants. He made this comment joining the budget debate in Parliament today. Minister Dr. Nalin Jayasinghe said that when referring to the health sector staff members, there is a large amount of health staff in the Polonnaruwa district. Most of them are attempting to get a transfer to Polonnaruwa Hospital since it is not their native place. This problem prevails in some other areas as well. Therefore, the ministry is looking for effective ways to handle this transfer problem and to fill up the urgent vacancies. Parliamentarian Rohit Abegunawardene said that only 975 prisoners can be housed in the Mahara prison, but there are over 3,100. Therefore, the government should provide building facilities. Minister Harsh Nanayakkara said that there is a committee appointed to consider facilities and infrastructure for the prisoners. The committee is to provide a report within a month, and then the government will take measures to minimize the congestion. MP Nilanthi Kotiarachi said that the government has provided facilities for children to go forward in sports at national and international level. Minister Chandan Aberatne said that a sum of 456 billion rupees has been allocated for the secondary level education, 135 billion rupees for university level education. Mr. Lalkantha said that government supports with the country's economic activities with democratic framework. Salaries of both government and private sector employees have been increased for the enhancement of both economy and the livelihood of the people.
Today, attention has been paid to the transport area in the 2025 budget. Steps have been taken by the President's budget to improve the transport sector under the theme Safe, Efficient, Environmentally Friendly and Sustainable Transport Service. An amount of 483 billion rupees have been allocated for the purpose under the 2025 budget. 433.7 billion rupees have been set aside for capital expenditure and 49.2 billion rupees have been allocated for the recurrent expenditure. The highest amount of 355.74 billion rupees have been allocated for road development. An amount of 81.3 billion rupees have been earmarked for the first stage of the Central Highway from Kadawatha to Meerigama. Another sum of 23.9 billion rupees have been allocated for the Central Highway being constructed on pillars from entrance of the port, covering a distance of 5.3 kilometers from Ingurukade Junction to Port City. The 2025 budget has also been allocated 5 billion rupees for road towards Meerigama in the first stage of the Kadawatha Integrated System and the Central Highway. The cost of the third stage of the Central Highway from Pothuhera to Rambukana is about 34 billion rupees. Another amount of 66.5 billion rupees have been allocated in order to pay the loans taken by the Road Development Authority for the construction and the maintenance work. An amount of 15 billion rupees have been allocated for the clearance of bills of alternative roads to enter the highway and other main roadways. An amount set aside for the development of 1,000 kilometers of roads have been 18 billion rupees, while 10.3 billion rupees have been allocated for the development of roads which have fallen under the provincial councils. Another sum of 9.5 billion rupees have been allocated to pay compensation for the acquired land in order to construct roads and bridges. The amount of allocated for the construction of bridges has been 21.8 billion rupees, while 10.9 billion rupees have been the amount that have been allocated for the purpose of planning flyovers at Kohuala and Getabe in the construction. The amount allocated for railways has been 73.9 billion rupees. In the meantime, 15 billion rupees have been allocated for the purchase of fuel and to introduce e-ticket construction of a railway control center in Maradana. Another amount of 11.5 billion rupees have been separated for the purpose of reconstruction of the railway workshop in Ratmalana. An amount of 8 billion rupees have been allocated for the procured train compartments as well as the construction of a double-line railway at Polgahavela and Kurunegala as well. For the establishment of a renovation of railway signals from Mahava to Omantha. Entire amount set aside for the transport has been 22.55 billion rupees. The amount of 7.7 billion rupees has been allocated for multi-purpose transport terminal at Kandy and another amount of 3 billion rupees for the purpose of payment of 600 procured buses. The amount allocated for printing driver license has been 1.2 billion rupees. 8.87 billion rupees have been set aside for 2025 budget for the port and airport, while another amount of 3.45 billion rupees have been allocated for the reconstruction of the Kankusantare port. The development of Hingrakode Airport has been receiving a sum of 1.2 billion rupees from the budget. 2.2 billion rupees have been set aside for Sisusaria and Gamisaria and other welfare transport services. 2 billion rupees have been set aside for another bus transport on roads which are not economically lucrative. General Secretary of the All Island Transport Services Association, Sepal Lenege, said that the union leader of the SLTB, which has been clearly stated that the present budget has been progressive compared to all other previous budgets. The budget of 2025 has been drafted keeping working people in the country in mind.
The Cabinet of Ministers has approved the proposal presented by President Andhra Kumara Dissanayake in his capacity as the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development to enter into an agreement on debt restructuring with the Hungarian Export Credit Insurance Private Limited. The Hungarian Export Credit Insurance Private Limited has agreed to grant a loan concession through the revision of outstanding debts, and all such revised loans will be covered under this proposed agreement. The Attorney General has given his clearance for this proposed agreement. The seasonal worker program has been introduced by the Korean government under the E8 visa category. Thereby, an opportunity has been provided for their provincial council institutes to recruit foreign workers legally for a short term. Accordingly, the Cabinet of Ministers has approved the proposal presented by Minister Vijitha Herath to sign the Memorandum of Understanding with the relevant provincial and municipal councils of the Republic of Korea for implementation of the pilot project, jointly to enable the eligible Sri Lankan workers to serve under the said program for up to 3 terms within a maximum period of 3 years. Consensus has been reached between the Government of Sri Lanka and the Government of India to establish solar power plants with capacities of 50 megawatt and 70 megawatt at Sampur in Trincomalee. Accordingly, the Cabinet of Ministers has approved the proposal presented by Minister Engineer Kumar Jaikodi to take further necessary steps to implement the proposed project. Arrival of the Cabinet of Ministers or the approval of the Cabinet of Ministers has been granted to update and amend certain provisions of the National Transport Commission Act No. 37 of 1991 to cater some contemporary requirements in order to provide solutions in relation to several practical issues identified within the transport sector and to regulate several transport sectors that is not regulated at present. Therefore, the Cabinet of Ministers granted approval to the resolution furnished by Minister Bimal Ratnayaka to submit the draft bill to the Parliament after publishing in the Government Gazette notification. Prevention of Terrorism Temporary Provisions Act No. 48 of 1979 has been imposed to confront the threats then existed relating to the national security and public peace. Later on, introducing amendments to the law has Prevention of Terrorism Temporary Provisions Act No. 12 of 2022, an interim measure has been followed for declaring a broad law on national security. The Cabinet of Ministers approved the proposal submitted by Minister Harshananekar to appoint the committee chaired by President Council Riyan C. Arsikularatne for presenting eligible resolutions to further develop the said draft bill after thoroughly studying on the final draft. Cabinet spokesman Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa said that the necessity of the new draft bill to provide national security will arise with the abolishing of the Prevention of Terrorism Act. The previous government has been taking efforts in this direction while facing objections from the general public, since the committee has been appointed in order to gather the views for further investigations. The second report of the Officers Committee, appointed with the chairing of the Secretary to the Prime Minister for submitting recommendations, appointed to review the public sector recruitment process and submit recommendations for staff management. The report has recommended to recruit 2,003 for vacancies from 4,987 vacancies existing institutions under 11 ministries and 5 provincial councils. Accordingly, the Cabinet of Ministers granted approval to the proposal submitted by Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya to execute the said recommendations. Cabinet spokesman Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa said that out of 2,003 vacancies in the government sector, 10 vacancies in Fisheries, Aquatic and Oceanic Resources Ministry, 294 vacancies in the Ministry of Education, Higher Education and Vocational Education, 184 vacancies in the Ministry of Public Administration, Provincial Councils and Local Government, 276 vacancies in the Ministry of Justice and National Irrigation.
The Fitch Rating Agency says the goal of the budget is achievable in the revenue-raising measures. In an announcement, the agency says 15% of the revenue target can be achieved with proper economic management. Fitch Rating believes the goal is achievable given the revenue-raising measures already announced and implemented. The rating agency said in a statement that this target can be achieved through proper management of capital expenditure and motivating segments of the export economy. The budget deficit can be minimized through the enhancement of private investments for infrastructure facilities and such other matters.
Sri Lanka Administrative Services Association says that the budget of 2025 has been formulated to strengthen the government income based on development and has been adjusted more appropriately in the limited monetary space available. The association has mentioned this in a letter to President Anurakumara Dissanayake. The letter states that Sri Lanka Administrative Services Association will provide all possible assistance to the government in order to achieve government monetary conditions. According to the association, the effort taken in the budget to provide justice to government servants who obtained a lesser basic salary by raising it within the limited monetary space has been commendable. It has also appreciated the dedication of the government in order to introduce internationally acceptable laws to avoid frauds and corruption, monetary transaction and action required to follow the use of digital systems. Another commendable aspect has been the action taken to provide targets to tax collecting institutions in order to make them efficient. The letter of the association also stresses that Sri Lanka Administrative Services Association will act dedicatedly to fulfill efficiently the decisions taken by the President and the government. Now, the Ministry of Education Higher education, vocational education has made recommendations regarding how to act on the prevailing excessive heat and weather condition these days. The measures have been taken under the guidance of Ministry of Health and Mass Media. In school activities, students should not be sent to outdoor activities on these days. Even during the interval period, students should be prevented from being exposed to scorching sun, and students should drink more water, and it is suitable to provide 2 short intervals. When the excessive heat is prevailing at the daytime, the students should not be taken out. Sports meets and trainings should be planned only considering the existing heat condition. If necessary, the tie should be loosened and removed. A hat or an umbrella should be used when the students go out in the sun. Health authorities advise the students to not wear dark-colored clothes. Drinking water bottles should be kept with them when they go out. Sugary drinks should not be taken. Substitutes for water such as king coconut water and mineral drinks can be taken. In case of health problems due to the excessive heat, students should inform a teacher or an adult and seek medical advice as soon as possible. And that's all the news we have from home. Stay tuned for international stories coming up next.
Dengue, 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 dengue. Dengue, 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 dengue.
A total commitment by everybody, every day, will help control dengue. A message from the Ministry of Health.
Now, foreign news. Hamas has handed over the bodies of 3 Israeli hostages for the first time as a part of the Gaza ceasefire deal. Hamas returned the bodies of 4 hostages in a choreographed scenes reminiscent of the recent handover of living hostages. They were then transferred by Israel forces in Gaza and brought to Israel, where bodies were due to undergo postmortems. Now on to sports news. Sri Lanka Cricket has decided to impose a $10,000 fine to the Sri Lankan cricketer Dasun Shanaka.
The cause for this decision is his participation in a match in Dubai while engaging in a local inter-club cricket tournament match without proper permission. Sri Lanka Cricket today stated that Dasun Shanaka had violated his contract signed with Sri Lanka Cricket. Therefore, this disciplinary action has been taken against him. Meanwhile, Dasun Shanaka has requested permission to leave the ground early, citing an injury while a 3-day match of inter-club tournament is being played. Since he had submitted a medical certificate, he was granted leave for the rest. In the same night, he had left for Dubai and played in a match of Dubai League tournament. The Sri Lanka Cricket says this is a violation of disciplinary code. Sri Lanka Cricket further says that Dasun Shanaka had admitted his faults and pledged not to repeat such action. However, he has been imposed a fine of $10,000 because of this offence. Now, the Asian Track Championship 2025 will commence in Malaysia tomorrow.
It will be live telecasted through ChannelEye from 6:30 a.m. This tournament includes many men and women's indoor cycle events. The tournament is being held in Malaysia and concludes on the 27th of the month. In addition, there is a paracycle race as well.
Prima Kutumi, Fantamai.
That's it for tonight's English News Telecast. Thank you for joining us. Good night.